first up on the podcast will be a returning guest, one of our favorites, the lovely and talented, the indie queen that is Ms. Kristen Stewart. She has a ton of stuff going on, Sammy.
And you guys have a ton of history.
I always say I think I've interviewed her more than any other human being on the planet. I'm her unofficial biographer.
Like, how was the reunion when you guys first saw each other?
Well, first I will say that it was very sweet of her to do this conversation because it was promoting – honestly, it wasn't really promoting anything specifically. She was in town for the New York Film Festival, which just concluded, and she had 3 films at the New York Film Festival. And I was at the party for one of the films.
Oh.
You have to say it like that. A film called Certain Women that we talk about. That's directed by Kelly Reichardt. And it's a small film. It's definitely for like an indie crowd. She doesn't need to or have to or whatever. It's not the kind of film that demands a ton of press because it just has its built-in audience. So it was very sweet of her to agree to sit down for this conversation, which was done. Actually, I met up with her at the lobby of her hotel, super casual, no publicists, no hangers-ons, and it was just very, like as I said, super chill.
Different than the Twilight interviews, huh?
We've conversed in every manner of strange format, and this was maybe one of the more relaxed settings. And we talk about Certain Women, as I said. We talk a little bit about a film called Personal Shopper that doesn't open until next spring, but you should keep your eye out for that one because it's her reteaming with the filmmaker Olivier Assayas.
Oh.
He's French.
That was
Big
nice.
Big French show today.
Big Francophile.
But they did that film Clouds of Sils Maria that she was excellent in, and they reteamed for this one. We talk a little bit about that. And it's a very frank conversation. We even talk about sort of how she's been much more open about her personal life lately in other interviews, and I ask her sort of what's the reasoning behind that. Talk a little bit about the election. Just to note for context, we taped this a couple weeks ago, so I think it was after the first debate, but before the shitstorm that happened in the second debate, et cetera. So just FYI, that's when this took place. So a really fun conversation with Kristen, and as I said, you guys should check out Certain Women. It's playing in limited release. I'm sure it's going to be on demand, if not now, very soon. And yeah, what else? Anything else that we should talk about?
This is very exciting, Kristen Stewart.
It's always exciting to have her on. She's a pleasure. It's been great to see her.
She always has good energy around you. Good. You bring out the best in her.
Thank you for saying that.
I think so.
I think this one will satisfy the Kristen Stewart fans. And if you stay tuned after Kristen,
oh baby,
oh man, if you're a film geek like myself, it was a huge honor to have Mr. Luc Besson in the building. So that's coming up a little later. But first up, this conversation with Kristen Stewart.
The one, the only.
I said that. Rob's
power when
you say it.
I didn't hear you say it.
All right, you ready to shove off, Kristen?
Yeah, let's do this.
We're in I feel like we're doing this is like the Vogue magazine cover story. This is like Kristen Stewart settled into a comfy seat.
Yeah, like you should describe what I order as if it's the most defining thing. That's always what they start with. Like, she started with, it's like, in order to say that someone's like really down to earth and cool, it's like she ordered a big, huge meal and just ate the whole thing unabashedly.
She had every French fry and didn't apologize for it.
Yeah, exactly.
For the record, Kristen has French fries all over her face. It's disgusting, frankly. It's always good to see you. Thank you for making the time to chat. We were just talking. We're kind of, as we tape this, we're in the middle of New York Film Festival, where you're like, I feel like whenever I talk to you at a film festival, it's like all or nothing for you. You have either like 6 films or you're not there.
Yeah, it seems like I haven't worked on a movie as an actor in a year, and I do notice usually like it's things always come out at the same time. I did them, I don't know. It was a kind of a condensed period, but usually it's kind of sporadic, and then all good things sometimes happen at once, which is rad, and then like sometimes all bad things happen at once, and you're like, why does this happen?
So as you know, I'm the unofficial official Kristen Stewart biographer at this point in my life.
Seriously.
So as you said, you've had some downtime. You haven't worked for a bit.
Yeah.
So what have you been filling your headspace with, your life with? Are you in a good place as you sit here right now?
Yeah.
I expect you to say no.
Oh, I'm just, honestly, I'm really down in the dumps lately, man. I haven't worked in a year.
She sat back into her chair and cried softly.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. I was talking about directing the short that I wrote ages and ages ago. Yeah, I finished it. Yeah.
Nice.
It's not fully finished. I'm working on sound right now. But like, all the pictures are put together, and I love it, and that is honestly, it's a huge pleasure. I don't think that necessarily always happens, and I got, I just honestly was so obsessively doing that. I think that's kind of exactly what I've been doing I can't wait to fucking finish it. Because I'm just like, you need to leave me alone. I want to do something else now. But it takes greater sort of patience or something, or focus to be a director rather than an actor.
Well, is anything surprising about that process now, having gone through it? I mean, you've basically been prepping for that kind of thing your entire life. You were born to do this kind of thing, I would think. I mean, you were literally raised in the business. So once you got into it, were you... I don't know. Did anything catch you off guard, or were you kind of?
I kept expecting. I kept expecting to run into some walls, and I knew that I was had surrounded myself with people that would totally bail me out, and I just didn't. I just kept swimming, and literally every single day was such a. It revealed itself in this way that was so we all felt so lucky. If anything was about to go wrong, or we weren't gonna have time for a tiny thing, we just were given a gift every time.
Nice.
And I got really lucky. And it's funny, I don't draw a huge distinction between being an actor on a set and making a movie sort of from the ground up as a director. To me it's I don't know, it's strange. Acting is there's this thing you do in bursts, and you can harness something and then completely forget about it, and it's a much more sort of it kind of passes you by, and you're cool, man, I can be a little more flippant about it or something, you know. And on this, it still feels like I'm doing the same job. It's just that I get to hold it so close,
right.
Seeing other people's enthusiasm because I'm asking them to be excited and they like me, turn into genuine, personal, selfish desire. I was that. I just that. I see people who at first were yeah, dude, I'll do anything for you. I'll do you a favor. I'll work on anything.
Right.
And then halfway through the thing, they were all no, this is what we have to do. This is, everyone was sort of owning it. And I was that. I've seen that's how I feel in movies.
Right.
When I love a director or somebody's really put something together that's really whole, and it was so rad. I fucking found the next level. I'm so excited.
So you're ready to dive back in, it sounds like. I mean, you're finishing this, but this is not going to be a one-shot deal.
No. No. I already have my two things kind of set up.
Yeah.
My next two things. Yeah. I'm not going to make a feature for a little bit. I really do. And it's not for any reason I don't want to make a big movie. I want to make little movies just to try. That's so not it. It's the form is really cool. I'm really having fun thinking about basically doing whatever the fuck I want, because you can't do that in movies. You know what I mean? You really can't. I mean, I'm going to try and kind of take that and apply it to the first feature that I do, but the form is just so fluid. You can do anything pretty much. It's
Well, talking about people that can do kind of whatever the fuck they want, or kind of counter to the system in its own way, that's Kelly Reichardt's films.
Totally.
Right? So,
Totally.
I mean, that's the one that we should talk about a little bit, because that's the one that's about to come out as we talk. And it doesn't surprise me that you hooked up with her, because she is a unique filmmaker. I can't think of another person like her. Her stuff flies in the face of everything that is maybe sadly kind of propped up in Hollywood, which is her stuff is quiet, it's deliberate, it's behavior, it sinks in with you. Give me a sense of is it apples and oranges being in her world versus other stuff? What's exciting about that?
I feel most American indie movies, they look, and I love this style because I grew up with it. You get it off sticks and throw it on his shoulder, and you dance around and find it. Everything's you find it, and everything looks the same.
Right.
Her movies are I always am impressed when somebody can do something so composed yet have it feel so unplanned.
Yep.
And her stuff is so deliberate, and working with her was she's a steel train. She doesn't stop. She's very methodical.
Yeah.
And it forces me to be kind of harness a different energy, stillness, and I don't know. She's great. She notices things about people that things like almost like people. I find most of her movies are about people that like really wouldn't want to be, not want to be noticed, like an attention thing, but just sort of that people wouldn't notice.
Right.
And most movies are about things that are like, oh, that's a great idea for a story. You know what I mean? And it sounds kind of obvious. If you can like describe it in a slug line, it's probably like engaging and a good idea for a movie. Like her stuff is so hard to describe because it's all the shit between the lines. Like she puts in movies what people don't focus on. And I love that.
Does it bum you out in some way that like her stuff isn't for everybody for whatever reason?
Totally.
And that's fine. Like who really cares? Like, but at the same time, it would be nice if more people were open to different kinds of films.
Yeah.
Because 95% of the country is going to see the same 2 movies this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you try to convince somebody that maybe certain women wouldn't necessarily be their cup of tea? Like, what would you say to them to open up their worldview or pop culture view a little bit to this kind of thing?
It's funny, like, I think we've just like grown accustomed to kind of like knowing what we want, and not to lump myself into that at all. Oh yeah, totally. Not to lump myself into that like in any way, because I feel like I'm totally different. But honestly, like, it's strange to be a part of an entertainment industry too,
right.
Because the whole thing is like that we're like not necessarily doing stuff to like have a great rip roaring time, but it's just to like consider something worth considering. It's like, why do you read a newspaper? Like, why do you do stuff like that? Like, there are some movies that you're not going to go have like a splendid, lovely time, but it might make you think. And if that's something you're into, then great. And if it's not, then fucking go to the mall.
Right.
And that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
We were talking about her kind of process. Like, I would think that you're very aware, like just being a fan of film, like, and hearing about different directors about how they work. And do you kind of like take note of that? Like, I was talking to another actor the other day about like Derek C. in France, for instance, who would seem to be like that kind of interesting process that he does. I would guess that would be the kind of thing that would appeal to you. I mean, do you kind of take note of like when you hear like about interesting approaches to how movies are made? Do you say, let's set up a meeting, quote unquote, to go Hollywood on you for a second?
Yeah. I've been told by like some of my, like Juliette Binoche was like, if you like someone, you have to make sure that you like let them know, and you have to connect with the people that you want to work with, because that's just like not always going to come to you, and And I haven't totally engaged on that level, but save for like a few times, and like, okay, so. Oh no, I hope he doesn't listen to this because he's truly like one of my favorite fucking directors ever. But he directed my 2 favorite movies, like recently. Like honestly, I would, and I asked for a meeting with him, and I'm like kicking myself in the ass right now. But The Lobster was my favorite movie last year.
Yeah.
Like really, or this year. And so I was like,
seeing, like with Dogtooth was the other one.
And Dogtooth was
I've heard
his
it's
other
amazing.
one.
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
It's so weird. It's so whole. It's so entirely whole. It's so fucking good. And he like does this weird thing, honestly, in both movies. There's like a language that is entirely its own. It's like, it's not a world that we live in at all.
Right.
And everything's metaphor, yet somehow it still makes you feel. And I would really trip out trying to act in one of his movies because like, I'm so like in the moment and visceral and right here, right now, and they're so like everything's a representation, yet it's still emotional. I was just like, he's a brilliant man, honestly. He's so smart, it's crazy. So I made sure I met him because I worked with an AD that was working with him, and he was like one of my favorite people. And I was like, hey, you have to hook me up. And when he was in LA, I sat down with him for a while. I mean, his name's Yorgos. I just don't remember his last name. It's probably also really hard to pronounce because he's Greek and like
Lathamos or something, right?
I mean, that sounds easy. So I feel like maybe it's more difficult.
I'm probably missing a few consonants, to be honest.
Like 10. No, probably not. I'm just joking. But like, Process is like one of my favorite things. Like the reason I wanted to work with Drake was totally because I knew how he set people up to really knock them down.
Right.
Because like, he was like laying foundation that you couldn't fall through.
Yeah.
Like there's just no one could fall through that foundation. Not to say that we're anything but whatever in the movie. Say anything you want about the movie. The experience was like so. I never felt like I was slipping through anything. I loved it so much.
And by the way, apropos of nothing except that I feel like the rest of the world needs to know because I've gotten to know Nick over the years too. He's such an awesome guy and so funny,
so
and like
nice.
he's just the driest, weirdest sense of humor, and I love that man. And
I know.
He came up by for the podcast recently, and it was like 45 minutes of like absurdity.
Yeah.
And he needs to be utilized in that way, I feel like. I mean, he's a great actor in many respects, but I feel like he's too good looking for his own good or something. They're casting him as like, the leading guy.
Yeah, that
right?
totally happens. I know, he just played J.D. Salinger.
Yeah, and I heard they showed some footage in Toronto that went over really well, actually.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. They made it for nothing. Like, it was like a really run and gun. He, like, worked really, really, really hard on it and really, really, really fast. You know what I mean? So I'm curious. I love when good things happen fast.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like, that to me is, I really want to see that.
So did, and just thinking about, like, the recent work, like, between something like Certain Women, and then I saw you. I don't think I've seen you since the Woody Allen film, which I really liked, and I really liked your performance in. But that's like a very like verbal character, as most of his characters are. I mean, do you have like, in a way, do you have a preference between? Because I've seen like a bunch of your stuff in quick succession. I saw Personal Shopper as well, which is a lot of just like behavior. It's like kind of following you around, and that is and Certain Women is a little bit more in that vein too. It's a pretty taciturn. Everybody in her world is pretty much.
Yeah.
Would you rather have like more dialogue? Do you ever ask to pare down dialogue? Do you know what I mean? Do you like? Would you rather kind of like see chunky like speeches for you, or would you rather spend a day just sort of like walking around an apartment?
Right. Literally on an entire day walking around an apartment
right.
or a house, just walking around.
Right, but hey.
No, it's so true though. When I did Personal Shopper, I was like, I mean, first of all, that movie, like, and I'll totally answer your question in 1 second, but, like, that movie almost killed me in the best way. Like, I know I always say, like, I want to get to the most extreme feeling as when you feel, like, the most alive, but that really was, like, kind of the harshest example of that. Save for a few moments where I was like, dude, are we making a movie about me walking around? No, honestly, because like I would start to lose it, because the movie is so fucking hard to grasp, especially considering especially the person playing her. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole thing is that I'm supposed to be like, what the fuck's going on? Do you know what I mean? So like sometimes I genuinely was like, I'm either driving around or I'm scooting around, or walking around or running around, like literally the entire time.
Testing out different modes of transport.
Okay, training around. Okay, so like. I really like both. I don't know. I think I haven't been given as much opportunity to have a whole lot of dialogue compared to not. And it's Certain Women and Cafe Society were both like I was the one talking a lot instead of listening, and it's fun. It's such a different. It's so like. I had two really different experiences. Woody was like, and you would think if I were to guess, I would think it was totally opposite. Woody allows you to say anything you want. You say his words once, he comes and he says, I'm falling asleep, just start talking. And you're like, okay. And then, and his stuff is so particular, like the vocab, everything about it, the rhythm, and like it all, you know what I mean? I just don't know how I don't know how it's so particular. Not that it's the same, but it's so particular every time because he doesn't force, like it's so not forced.
Right.
I guess that's the point. It's like there's this casual nature to it. Like once you've said it and he likes two takes, if that, he's like, okay, you're done, let's go. That's why you don't shoot for long. It's like everything kind of feels like, whoa. Like you've just gotten it out, and I feel like that has a lot to do with why his movies are so natural, and like I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, so and then Kelly wants you to say her words pretty much exactly the way they are in the script, because she's a much more surgical. She's just so much more precise, and
would you
surprised by that?
In that vein, would you want to go back to like? You obviously had the experience with Fincher really early on. Would you be curious to like at this point in your career kind of try that again? Yeah.
Honestly, like I have no problem doing like things a million times.
Yeah.
I'm a very obsessive person.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. And oddly, which is cool. Although it's weird, the thing is sometimes like it depends on what it is. I guess I would like to do it because it would push me in a way that was like, because once I feel like once I really have like a lovely experience doing something where I feel like, oh God, that was like I could never do that again. Like, because it was just, I didn't have any control over it. I have these like walls that I've probably built up that are stupid and crutchy that I'm like, no, once you do it, it's fucking lightning in a bottle. You can't do it again. I could never do it again. It's like, shut up.
Right.
Shut up. do it.
There's no rule book. It's like
You don't have to do it again. You can
Right.
just do anything. Just keep going.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just who knows what's going to happen. So just keep going. I think that's why people like Kubrick have always like been like classically like actors are like, oh, it's crazy. 80 takes. It's like it's a method. It's like military method. I'm going to break you down. And then so yeah.
So, in terms of, it's curious because like I'm not going to change my tactic in the way I've talked to you over the years, but we've never talked like about personal life stuff. I'm not going to start now, so don't worry. But like, but I'm just curious. Like, it seems like you've been more like open in talking about personal relationships and stuff lately. Did that kind of come out organically, or was that something like that you and Team Stewart sat down and talked about? I'm guessing not, because that's not you in my experience.
That definitely
like,
never happened.
But I'm just curious, like, where
that
that came from.
conversation, I'd probably end up like, not to reveal any strange, not to insinuate anything that isn't, because that would be weird. But I literally, at the end of a conversation like that, might not have a team anymore. Like everyone out. But I totally just sort of. I've always said the same thing, like when asked about like, you know. Even when I was like kind of becoming just more comfortable doing interviews in general, not even regarding my personal life, people would be like, you seem so much more casual now, like you're really getting like so much more comfortable. And I'd be like, yeah, you know, it's kind of important to like let you guys in a little bit because I want to be a part of something. I don't want to exclude myself or alienate myself, because because in doing so, like, it's only a reaction of feeling alienated, and then you just do it more. And that's, you know, I put these walls up and then you can't see over. I always was like, I just don't want to do that. And so I just feel like super entitled, which is into like life, like in a way that's like I think it's really important. I think it's really important, like right now, to sort of like help each other not feel bad about themselves, about ourselves.
Not be defensive about kinds of relationships or anything.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
Like,
it's like, whoa, let's like take it easy and like represent something really positive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I've had it so easy, and so like I just feel like it would be weird. It would be so weird to be like, oh, I might not be getting like the same role. I'm gonna protect myself. I might not. I'm gonna protect myself, because who the fuck knows? Like if I want to do a Marvel movie, and you know, all of America is not cool with like the gay thing, then like, or the fact that I'm like dating a girl, or that I've dated a girl, like who's to say? Things are going to change so quickly. Honestly, right now it's like this weird little like transitional period.
Totally.
And,
it feels like if we're talking in like 5 years, we're going to look back at this
conversation's
like,
going to sound archaic.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Like, why are they dancing around this? Like, just like, what the fuck is the big deal?
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah. So basically, like, I totally would have never talked about anything, because I hate the idea of becoming a part of like media, like contributing to like people's gain, you know, whether it's like fucking financial or anything. You don't deserve these people like who like run this like weird media thing. I just hate it.
Well, and you were at the horrible end of the spectrum, where like you made millions for
disgusting people,
horrible people,
for the worst people, man. And like, so yeah, I just didn't want to be a part of that. But then I noticed that like it would be totally something different if I was like still trying to hide my personal life, because it would say that I was ashamed, which I'm not. And yeah, man, like, nobody knows anything. Everyone needs to stop labeling shit. Yeah. Everyone needs to stop labeling shit. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. So how could you put I would never put a label on myself, ever.
Totally.
Like, yeah, so.
Except a disgusting French fry eater that can't control herself. So, you mentioned Marvel. Have you ever met with Marvel? Have you ever like talked to them about something? There was like rumor years ago of like Lois Lane for the DC, like the Superman stuff. Was that any truth to that? Is that anything that's ever been?
I have no idea. I think they've probably like heard. I think they've probably like considered. I've probably been on lists.
You're on lists.
Yeah, I've known that I've been on lists.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That is as far as it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there certain kind of like universes that you can't imagine yourself in? Like I just myself won't buy myself in a Star Wars movie, for instance. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of hard to.
I guess
I don't know.
You have to get into the specifics.
Sure.
Like it's like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have one like popping in. Yeah. If I had an answer, I would definitely answer it. But and just to say about the Marvel, I'm definitely not implying that the only reason. Let me just make that really clear. That was just a random. I just thought of the most sort of popular commercial.
Marvel only wants straight white people.
No, I wasn't saying that at all.
Don't worry.
Like at all. In fact, I probably just haven't gotten one because I'm not cool. Like that's So that's
So after you're through this publicity gauntlet, you're in the edit room on like the short, basically. You're kind of like figuring it out.
I totally locked picture. I'm done editing. I got a absolutely incredible editor. I really swung for the fences on a few positions, and then I stayed really young and hungry and ambitious and really innovative on others. And
Nice.
I got Lars von Trier's editor, Jacob.
Wow.
His name's really hard to pronounce too. Scholzinger. Scholzinger. Like, he says it different too.
Just give him a
He's from
nickname,
Copenhagen.
Johnny.
He is honestly like, it feels like when I was making this thing, like I was carrying like 8,000 pounds, and then with every person that like hopped on, they were like, "Dude, give me some of that," and I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." He must have taken, like, honestly, he took so many thousands of those pounds. Honestly, like, he's brilliant. He's such an artist. It's a language. He like knows this language that I will never know. You know what I mean? It's like this. He's fluent in it. He's so cool.
Are these? And I'll let you go in a second, but just like, are these the kind of conversations that you have with like friends and family? Like, do you most enjoy talking film and like geeking out on that stuff, or most of the people in your life, do they speak that language, or do you need kind of like some people that don't give a shit about any movies and just or want to talk about other stuff?
I have both.
Yeah.
And sometimes I totally make the mistake of like talking at someone for ages about something they do not care about at all, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so self-absorbed right now. Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry. I've been talking about my short for an hour. I just was at work all day, and they're like, it's all good. But then like I have friends that are literally like, we need each other.
Yeah.
So we can be like, hey, like we need to. Yeah. I have a few of those.
Are you at all absorbing? I have a love-hate thing with the political season we're in right now. I'm watching everything, and I'm also hating the world we're living in. Where are you at in terms of just absorbing all of this? Are you engaged, do you feel, or do you feel like you're just,
I feel the same way.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's I hate to say this. I'm not saying this just to be funny or whatever, but it's terrible. This is like the darkest joke ever. If it's funny, no one's gonna think this is funny. Oh my God.
You can self-censor.
Yeah, but it's just unfortunately, it's the most engaging thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's so much easier. I feel sort of bad about myself because I'm like, oh, I'm really into it this year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. I don't feel bad about that at all. I think everyone should feel great about that. And I don't know too many people that aren't that way right now. People that have never been interested in it ever.
It's true.
Which is fucking rad. But I feel that way too, because it's not that I wasn't interested. I've just sort of been not as totally...
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absorbed. And so now it's so absorbing. I'm like, oh God, like it's like really great TV. It's really great. You know what I mean?
The first presidential debate was like riveting.
Oh my God.
Television.
It's honestly some of the most interesting, like the character study, the entire, everything that goes into it, you're just like, oh, it's riveting.
And then you realize, wait, there's a 41% chance that.
Yeah.
Let's not end on that sad note. What's a brighter note? What's making you happy now?
That little pooch over there is very cute.
Oh my God,
he's been sitting there the whole time.
I've been so locked in with you. I didn't see that adorable dog.
So cute. He's very,
he's docile,
very docile and like super statuesque.
He could be in a Kelly Reichardt film, maybe.
Yeah. Don't mess with him though.
It's good to see you, buddy. Thank you for making the time.
Of course.
And we'll talk soon on Personal Shopper, which we teased a little bit, but it's another great piece of work, and I think hopefully you and Olivier are going to continue working for a while to come.
Yeah, I hope so. God, I can't wait for him to, like, who knows if this will happen, but I cannot wait for the idea of him being like, so I wrote another script, I'm going to send it to you. And I'm like, oh my God!
He's just going to keep, like, scripting roles for you in the periphery of celebrity. You're going to play every different person around celebrity.
I wonder, honestly, that would be fucking cool. I really wonder.
It's kind of an interesting...
I know! Oh, it might be, yeah, honestly.
All right. Watch this space. Stay tuned. Thanks, Kristen.
Bye, guys.
That was Kristen Stewart. Make sure to check out her new film, Certain Women, in limited release and on demand, and support Kristen Stewart, guys. She's one of the best out there.
Always.
A lot of film critics lately have been saying, like with her recent films, like the best actress of her generation. So it's been really kind of cool to see her. You know, she's had her ups and downs with the press and all that kind of stuff, but like she's in a great place and is really being celebrated for the quality actress that she is and the great choices that she's made.